What if I told you that one of the most talked about, most controversial, most polarizing storylines in WWE over the last 2 years was not entirely written by a room full of writers sitting behind a desk in Stamford, Connecticut? What if the woman at the center of all that chaos, the title reigns, the Dominic drama, the Judgment Day saga, the Raquel Rodriguez rivalry, all of it, had more of a hand in shaping her own destiny than anyone ever gave her credit for? And what if the reason so many people dismissed her was actually because she was too good at her job? Stay with me, because today on WrestleScope, we are pulling back the curtain on Liv Morgan like it has never been pulled back before. And trust me, by the end of this video, you are going to see her completely differently. Whether that makes you a fan or makes your blood boil even more, well, that's entirely up to you. Let's get into it. For years, Liv Morgan was one of the most beloved baby faces on the WWE roster. The crowd adored her. She was infectious. She was energetic. She had that underdog quality that made you want to root for her. And then she won the SmackDown Women's Championship at Money in the Bank 2022, cashing in on Ronda Rousey, and the wrestling world collectively lost its mind in the best way possible. But then something shifted. By 2024, Liv Morgan was a completely different character. She was manipulative, she was calculated, she was using Dominic Mysterio like a puppet, dangling him in front of Rhea Ripley like a weapon. She was taunting the crowd, she was reveling in the heat. And a significant portion of the WWE universe turned on her, not because she was bad at her job, but because she was doing her job almost too well. The internet wrestling community was divided. Half the fan base said she was being pushed too hard, that the booking was nonsensical, that creative was forcing this character down everyone's throats. The other half said she was a hidden gem finally being given the platform she deserved. But here's the question nobody was really asking loudly enough. How much of that character was actually her idea? Now, let's talk about what Liv Morgan actually said, because this is the part that has the internet buzzing, and frankly, it should have people asking some very uncomfortable questions. In a candid interview, Liv Morgan opened up about her creative process inside WWE and the level of input she genuinely has in her storylines. And she didn't sugarcoat it. She didn't give the standard, "Oh, I just trust the process and do what I'm told" PR answer that so many WWE talents fall back on. Liv admitted that she is actively involved in pitching ideas, developing her character's motivations, and working collaboratively with the creative team to shape where her storylines go. She described it as a back-and-forth process, one where she brings ideas to the table, advocates for the direction she believes her character should go, and fights for the moments she thinks will resonate most with the audience. Let that sink in. This is not someone who clocks in, reads a script, performs, and goes home. Liv Morgan has been sitting in creative meetings, planting seeds, shaping narratives, and then walking out to that ring and executing on a vision that she helped build. Now here's where it gets spacey, and this is the part I need you to really sit with. If Liv Morgan has been this creatively involved, then every segment you rolled your eyes at, every promo you thought was too much, every controversial moment that made you question the booking, there is a real possibility that some of those choices weren't made despite Liv. They were made because of Liv. And I know what some of you are thinking right now. I can already see the comments forming in your head. Some of you are thinking, see, that's the problem. She's been pushing herself into storylines she doesn't belong in. And others are thinking, finally, someone is getting recognized for doing the work behind the scenes. Both reactions are valid, but I want to challenge you to think deeper than that. Because here's the thing about professional wrestling that fans sometimes forget. We reward men for this all the time. When we find out that Stone Cold Steve Austin pitched the beer bath, when we learn that The Rock rewrites his own promos, when it comes out that CM Punk had a massive hand in crafting the pipe bomb moment, we don't drag them for it, we celebrate them. We call them visionaries. We call them generational talents who understood the business at a level beyond their peers. But the moment a woman admits she's actively shaping her own character and fighting for her spot creatively, suddenly the conversation becomes, she's too ambitious, she's getting too much, she doesn't deserve this. I'm just going to say what I'm saying and let you sit with that.
Liv Morgan figured out the game. She learned that in WWE, if you want something done right, sometimes you have to be the one driving it. She watched what happened to women who waited patiently for opportunities that never came, and she decided she was going to be different. So let's actually break down what we can look at through this new lens, because the evidence of Liv's creative fingerprints has been hiding in plain sight. Think about the nuance in the Judgment Day storyline, the way Liv's character wasn't just an outside interference, but a deliberate psychological weapon targeting Rhea Ripley's most vulnerable relationship. That level of specificity, using Dominic not just as eye candy, but as an emotional grenade, that required someone who understood the emotional storytelling underneath the spectacle. That required someone who cared about the why. Think about Liv's promos during this era. There's a specificity to how she taunts. She doesn't just say generic villain lines, she gets personal. She finds the exact nerve and she presses it. That kind of promo work doesn't come purely from a script handed to you 30 minutes before you go live. That comes from someone who has thought deeply about who their character is, what she wants, and what makes her tick. Think about the way she carries herself during segments, the micro-expressions, the body language, the moments between the words. You can't coach all of that into someone. Some of that has to come from the performer's own understanding of the character they're playing. And if Liv has been in those creative meetings, advocating for these layers, then what we've been watching isn't just Liv Morgan the performer, it's Liv Morgan the storyteller. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room, because there is a legitimate criticism buried underneath some of the negative reactions to Liv Morgan's push, and it's worth acknowledging. Some fans feel that the Judgment Day storyline became oversaturated, that it went on too long, that the payoffs didn't always match the build-up, and those are fair critiques of pacing and booking that the creative team, and yes, potentially Liv herself as a contributor, have to own. Creative input is not the same as creative perfection. Just because you helped build something doesn't mean every single choice was the right one. Even the greatest creative minds in wrestling history have had swings that didn't connect. But here's what I will not accept, and I mean this. I will not accept the argument that Liv Morgan having creative input is inherently a problem. The problem was never that she was involved. The problem, if there was one, was execution in specific moments, and that's a very different conversation. Because if we start punishing performers for being ambitious, for advocating for themselves, for refusing to sit quietly and wait for someone else to decide their fate, then we are essentially telling every superstar on that roster to be passive, to be replaceable, to be interchangeable. And that is the death of compelling professional wrestling. So where does this leave us? Where does it leave Liv Morgan? Here's my take, and drop a comment below because I want to know if you agree or if you think I'm completely wrong. Liv Morgan knowing her creative worth and fighting for it is one of the most important developments in the women's division in years, because it signals a shift. It signals that the women on this roster are not content to simply perform whatever they're handed. They want to build. They want to create. They want their characters to feel real and grounded because they know what makes those characters breathe. And if WWE is smart, and lately, to their credit, they have shown moments of genuine brilliance, they will lean into that. They will create an environment where talents like Liv can continue to pitch, continue to push, continue to advocate. Because the alternative is going back to a time when women's storylines felt like afterthoughts, filler between the men's matches. And nobody who actually loves this product wants to go back to that. Liv Morgan, love her or hate her, is proof that when a woman on this roster has the fire and the vision and the willingness to fight for her spot creatively, the results are unforgettable. You might not have liked every chapter of her story, but you watched it, you talked about it, you argued about it, you made videos about it, you commented on it. That's not failure. That's wrestling doing exactly what it's supposed to do. All right, WrestleScope Nation, I need to know where you stand on this. Do you think Liv Morgan having creative input has been a good thing for WWE, or do you think it's contributed to storylines that overstate their welcome? Is she a visionary who figured out the game, or is she proof that not every superstar should have this much influence over their own booking? Drop your take in the comments right now. I am reading every single one, and I will be responding. This is the kind of conversation that this community exists for, so let's have it. And if this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't considered before, if it made you see Liv Morgan even slightly differently, whether that's more respect or more frustration, then do me a favor and hit that like button. It takes literally 2 seconds and it helps this channel more than you know. If you are not subscribed to WrestleScope yet, what are you doing? Seriously, we are here every single week breaking down the stories behind the stories, asking the questions the mainstream outlets won't ask, and giving this incredible sport the deep analysis it deserves. Hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you never miss a single